Hello, hello. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me first to Sitges. It's very nice. I'm going after this presentation on the media development program. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we do in this area. But to start with, maybe I wanted to ask how many producers are in the room? Producers? Okay, and how many are doing actual transmedia or trying to do transmedia production now? Okay, so most of producers there. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to try to explain quite quickly what we do. We are a company, we are a group of companies based in Berlin, between Berlin in Germany and Brussels in Belgium. And we specialize in finance for the audiovisual sector and the creative industries. First, I'm going to talk about the Peaceful Fish, which is our main brand. Peaceful Fish is a company who's basically helping financial and public institutions to develop different financial instruments for the sector. So we've been working, in fact, for creating many regional funds and different systems to help producers. And of course, we've been involved in different projects looking at transmedia in the past. We're also working a little bit for producers, not so much to be honest, but we do have a few clients every year who are producers. We've been working with people from Catalonia in any case in the past. This is a subject, cross-media, transmedia, that we've been looking at for many years, in fact. Because already 5 or 6 years ago, for example, we created in Barcelona, in fact, a small market for mobile content. Maybe some of you remember that. We did that with CDA at this time in Barcelona Activa. And so it's something that we've been looking at for a long time. And I suppose you will not be surprised when I say that it's very difficult today to finance that. I mean, obviously, I think we all know and we are all convinced that that's the right direction and that's where it's happening and it's going to happen. But in practice, as you probably know, it's very difficult today to finance that. And it's difficult to finance it, I think, because obviously it touches different types of platforms, obviously, different types of media, where until now, each of these platforms were working very independently. So on one side, you have the cinema world, the TV world, the video game world, the animation is a bit different as well. And in fact, most of the systems, I mean, let's say the financing system like grants, things like that, were not transversal. Meaning either you were a video game or a TV project or a cinema project. So it's very difficult today, even today, to find some projects and some funds that work transmedia. Obviously with Wallimage, after you will have a very good example, and I think it's one of the best and maybe the only project example like that in Europe. So it's still the problem that you have to apply to a certain part. What is true on the other side is that when you look at project, obviously most of the project you have a kind of, let's say, more priority platform. Even though you want to do it on different platforms, I think for most of the project you still have one platform, like for example TV or internet, but it's still the main platform where you want at least to start from. Okay, so obviously that could be a way to start the financing is by where the main platform is. Okay, so that's obviously something to look at. The other thing that we discover or we found out is that obviously for audiovisual, let's say traditional audiovisual producers, it was very difficult to adapt to these different platforms and to different sectors. They were used to, or they are used to work on the segment of cinema, for example, and understanding the different financing system, the different ways of doing it in terms of, distribution, etc., but maybe not knowing very well the different other parts. And we saw that there was a big need for training, basically, for training producers to understand how to work with different platforms and how to talk to these different financiers that they have different systems. Another thing that we looked at was about the financing part. What we saw, obviously, when we talk about transmedia and cross-media is that most of the time you're using quite a lot of digital platform, a kind of technology-driven system. I mean, it depends, but okay, you're using internet or using mobile, and obviously these are, the common thing is that they are all on digital and using different types of technology. So the idea we had was to really look at people who invest in the technology and understand if these people who are interested in more technology, software companies could be also interested to move a little bit from this technology only to technology and content, okay? And in fact, when we started talking to investors, so I'm talking about, you know, small funds, special funds, business angel, venture capital company, but, you know, more specialized in the sectors, we found out that in many of the portfolio of projects that they had, most of the time they had a few projects that were not so far from what we're talking about, okay? But most of the time they were looking at it in technology way more than the content way. So we thought that there is something there to be done. So what we decided to do is, I mean, as I say, we've been working for different regions on that, but one thing that we created with media is a training program, which is called Closing the Gap. Maybe you've heard of it, that we've run now for 2 years. We're finishing the second year. In fact, in 2 weeks' time, we're doing the second workshop in Mallorca, where we are actually bringing 12 cross-media projects to pitch and to, I mean, we prepare them on the business plan along the year, and then they are pitching in 3 weeks' time in front of real investors. Okay, so they are not, I mean, some are distributors, I mean, 1 or 2 are distributors, sales agents, 1 or 2 are buyers, but most of them, so about 6 or 7, are real investors. So they are fund manager, business angel, people who are interested to look at potential projects like that. Okay, so I think that's something that if you are interested, I think it helps a lot the people, the producers to be ready and to develop their project. So that's one thing. I think just to finish on this first part, I think the main difficulty when you are talking to private investors or VC is obviously the difference between project financing and company financing. These people are coming from company financing, so they are used to invest in companies, so in a technology, in a startup company, and then to take some shares, so to take like a minority share in this company, and to sell this share to someone else after 5 or 6 years. Obviously, from an audiovisual point of view, it's a bit more difficult from that. First, maybe it doesn't make so much sense to buy some shares of the companies because obviously the asset in terms of intangible asset are very difficult to value, I think for you and for investors. And obviously what you are interested in is to have financing for projects, okay, and not really for the company. So that's one thing that needs to be put in phase, I would say, because this is a real difficulty that there is now in the financing world, is that producers from audiovisual, also because they are using grants that are project financed, they are talking about that, and when you talk to private investors, they are talking about company investment. Obviously, there are different ways to look at that, and slate funding is obviously one way of looking at it, meaning it can offer a company bringing different types of projects, but still this misfit, I would say, is something that is difficult. In the case of Closing the Gap, for example, training that we do, the private investor we are bringing to that, they are interested in projects, and I would say more and more at the moment, because basically of a crisis. So at least one good thing coming out of a crisis. It's obviously, they are interested in that because what we call the exit strategy, so meaning how they're going to get out and get their money back, will be quicker and is quite clear for them through a project. Meaning that as long as the project is sold to TV, to different types of revenues, they are exiting the project. So they don't need to find someone else to buy the company or the project after. So for them, for many business angels at the moment, they say, okay, I prefer to invest in a project where I'm going to be out of it in 18 months instead of buying a share in a company that maybe I'm going to be stuck with it for 6, 7, or 10 years. Okay? So there is something about that at the moment. I'm not saying it's easy, because it's not, but I think there are some ways to do that. And in this program, for example, I think the opportunity for producers is really to meet real producers and having a lot of discussion and relations with them to understand exactly what they are looking for. Okay. Another thing, well, I can talk forever about it, but yes, I mean, the other thing I think to think about when you do financing is obviously, and cross-media, is maybe to leave out this idea of financing, but more we're looking at the distribution and the revenues. If you're looking on the internet, on mobile, etc., I mean, basically there will be no financing. I mean, don't try to look for financing, there will be no. So the idea is to balance a financing plan and a revenue plan where you have some financing coming maybe from more traditional sources and for traditional on TV, cinema, or things like that, and then working on the revenue side through the other types of revenue. But I think it's very important to mix that and not to stop to a financing plan. Okay? So just to finish, two other things that we are doing in our company, so that you know. I mean, the second thing is that, which is linked to the closing the gap, is that we've created this pan-European investment network, which is called Media Deals, and it's as I say, it's a network of today around 45 investors, so investors and venture capital company who are, let's say, 50% are really specialized in the sector, meaning they invest more than 50% of the budget in the sector. And the other 50% are people from technology most of the time who are interested and are looking at the project. So maybe our sector represents maybe 10 to 20% of their portfolio of investment, but they want to grow that. Okay? So we are doing different programs, so through Closing the Gap with media, but also we're doing regularly different investment forums. In fact, we've been doing in Barcelona 3 times already in the last 4 years. We're doing one in Istanbul in 2 weeks, for example. So if you are interested in looking at that and you think you have a project or a company, even better, who is interested to raise finance like that, you can go to our website, to Media Deals, and get to know a little bit what we do, and we can select you to come and talk and pitch to investors. And to finish, the last thing that I wanted to present, which is not exactly into that, but not very far, is that we also finance music for film and video games. So it's also, I think, quite a big part of cross-media project and transmedia project in any case, but for any project, I would say. So we've developed a fund who is helping you to finance the music, and not just financing the music, meaning finding a composer for original music and making sure you've got the right music at the right price. We're also helping on the synchronization, of course, but more importantly is we are working on the distribution and the promotional part of music to really help the project to be more promoted through the music. Every project has some music, and today music is underused. It's just there. Maybe a soundtrack is released, nobody's buying it anyway, we know that. So, we are really working on different ways to use music as a marketing tool for the promotion, to sell projects on different countries, on different platforms. So it could be interested to do that, and we actually finance that as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A pair of comments before introducing Domenico. Per aquesta sessió també vam convidar dues empreses importants que us hauria de mencionar, també amb suport mèdia. Una és Power to the Pixel i l'altra és Eric Pomer Institute. Power to the Pixel ens van dir que no podíem perquè la setmana que ve celebra el seu crossmèdia market. I Eric Pomer Institute marxen cap a Nova York. Són empreses de formació, com us mencionava Thierry, totes aquestes iniciatives amb suport mèdia són molt i molt importants. Per què? Perquè hi ha tot un circuit de mercats, festivals, formació, negocis fets durant anys entre productors, distribuïdors, empreses d'exhibició, que han fet que els projectes de ficció tinguin una sortida de documentals, animació, ficció televisiva, per cinema, tot, tinguin una sortida gairebé fàcil. Ara no és fàcil finançar res, ja ho sabem, però els contactes els teniu. Què passa amb les empreses que ara volen fer el salt a interactius? Que s'ha de fer tot aquest networking, s'ha de fer aquesta agenda. Per on comenceu a finançar? Per on comenceu a tenir contactes amb possibles inversors, coproductors, business angels, etc. Doncs totes aquestes empreses que ofereixen markets, prices, pitchings per interactius, sisplau, les heu de tenir en consideració perquè d'aquests foros, d'aquestes piazzes surten negocis. Trobareu tota la informació sobre aquestes activitats al lloc web de MEDIA Antena Catalunya. I ara sí us deixo amb Domenico Laporta, que us parlarà de Wallimage.
Thank you. My name is Domenico Laporta. My main job is being a journalist, an industry-based journalist, and as such, these past few years, I saw really the development of the movie business and how the movie business has real problems adapting to the internet, to the new technologies, to the new platforms. I mean, going to a movie theater to see a movie is quite an old habit. And yet these days, there are several ways to watch films, and the public is using all those ways. Some legals, some are not legals. So what the movie industry has to do is adapt or disappear, because if you don't adapt to those new platforms, it doesn't mean putting your movie on this internet screen. No, but you can develop some tools to improve the movie experience that you will experience in a movie theater. Today here, I'm a consultant for Wallimage. Wallimage is a regional film fund based in the French part of Belgium. Wallonia is the French region in Belgium. And Wallimage, for 10 years, has been financing movies. And since 2011, they developed this new line of financing called Wallimage crossmèdia. So Wallimage, when crossmèdia promotes cinema, this is exactly what they do. They use crossmèdia to promote films. When Wallimage chose its visual identity, they choose this Swiss knife as an image, a metaphor of what they can provide for a film. Some tools facilitating, editing or shooting the movie or such things. But as soon as they launched this cross-media line, this is what happened. It got really insane. They've developed this line of financing with an idea in mind, and then when the projects kept coming, they were so creative and so inventive that, yes, it got not out of control, but in a good way. I mean, all the tools that were developed for 2 years now have really an impact on the distribution of the films. People go see those films with this cross-media action in mind. So what is Wallimage? Some facts about it. It's a limited company created in 2001. It's a regional film fund based on economic criteria. They finance film really based on how much expenses you will have in Wallonia. So at least 100% of the regional audiovisual expenditures have to be spent in Wallonia and are financed at 100%. It's 5.5 million euros a year. and roughly 250 Ks per project. There are some projects who are benefiting for 400 Ks, but this is the average. So these are a few films Wallimage got into. There's the Dardenne brother film, Kid on a Bike. All those movies have received prizes in festivals throughout the world. Now, Wallimage Crossmedia has two lines of financing. The first one is called digital extension. Digital extension is what you could call cross-media marketing. I mean, it helps producers. This is really important. I mean, this help goes to the producer. It helps the producer to have some more balance when negotiating with distributors, because the producer has the possibility to develop websites, Facebook applications, games, mobile applications, and so on for his movie, and then he goes to the distributor with all that stuff already produced. So even for international sales, it's an asset to have all those tools developed for your film. Digital extension are tools you will develop prior to the release of the film. It means not only a website, but also a mobile application or a Facebook page, or even the salary of a community manager that will manage your Facebook page. So all those tools, they tend to promote a film. The second line is called digital promotion. So it's the other way around, I'm sorry. Digital extension is transmedia, and digital promotion is what I said before. They invert the order, sorry. So digital extension is really transmedia, meaning that you have a movie, it's based on a movie, and then you expand the universe of this movie. You create a franchise with your film, and then you create other stories or other tools or explore other aspects of your stories on different platforms. If you want to, an example of that, if your movie talks about one character in his family, and then this character has a story going on, a journey, then maybe the transmedia will explore the journey of all the other members of the family. So it's the same universe, there are interactions between the movie and what you developed aside, but it's all part of the same idea of people wanting to enter this universe through different doors, but then have the will or the envy to go see the film in the end. So we invest 400Ks for both lines. In 2011, we had 400Ks dedicated to the digital extensions and 400Ks dedicated to the digital promotion. In the digital promotion last year, there were 12 films submitted with projects, and out of those 12 projects, 6 were funded. And those 6 films all had their campaign developed through the year. One is being released now. It's called Suicide Shop. It's the Patrice Lecomte film. It's an animation film. And the transmedia, cross-media promotion is happening now on the internet. So yes, digital extension 2011. Basically, we are really proud of 2 projects. One is called Lazarus Mirage. It's a TV series, documentary TV series, that was also developed with a website with different experiences on this website related to those documentaries. They created this character, which is some kind of V for Vendetta inspired character, masked, really mysterious. And if you go on the website, there's this whole iconography around this character, and this character is experimenting stuff and demonstrating that what you see is not always what is true. It's really interesting, really well done, well crafted, and interactivity was really integrated in this project. So Lazarus had a Twitter account. He was getting in touch with a lot of people. The website was also not released completely in one shot. It was developed. There were new episodes released regularly. And the second project we went into is the Spiral. Jean-Baptiste here will tell you more about it, so I will maintain the secrecy for now, even though this project has ended last week. Digital promotion in 2011, we had 6 projects. These are 4 of the projects that have been developed. What is important to know is that Wallimage is financing a film with this co-production section as a regional film fund, and then the cross-media aid come after and helps only the movies that are initially financed in the co-production section. So those films were already being helped, financed by Wallimage, and they applied for an additional help for the cross-media part. And they were all developed in Wallonia with industries based in Wallonia. And what we saw is that exactly what happened with Wallimage when Wallimage started 10 years ago is that new industries started switching their activity or improving their activity to specialize on the cross-media and on these new ways of developing tools on the new platforms. Some of those industries were marketing agencies, of course, because that's basically what they are doing as a main core business for years, promoting, I don't know, shampoo or whatever. And it's more sexy to promote a film. So all the people working in those companies were really appreciating the fact of working in a film, meeting with the talents, having this wonderful material to promote. And then new companies started in 1 year to be created only to do this kind of business. I have one of these companies, for example, and as such, we worked on 2 projects last year. One is the Suicide Shop by Patrice Lecomte, and the other project was Bye Bye Blondie. I don't know if you know the writer Virginie Despentes. She's a French novelist, and she directed her second feature with Emmanuel Béard and Béatrice Dalle. We promoted that film that was produced by a Walloon producer called Fracas Production. And with that film, it's a film based on the nostalgia of the 80s. And we decided not to talk about the story of the film, but what we did is we developed a lot of tools around this idea of the 80s and based on the nostalgia of the 80s. So first there was it's a punk film. I mean, it's about those 2 characters, female characters, are ex-punks. So we developed all this iconography, all this design around the punk attitude. There was a website first. Then we developed a video game, like an old school arcade game, playable on Facebook with really pixel art designed. This game had a lot of success. We had more than 20,000 people trying the game on Facebook. It was free. And this game was released in several episodes. All episodes were levels, and it was really easy to play with the keyboard, one key to hit punch, the other key to hit foot, and then you move around collecting bonuses and fighting bad guys. It was mimicking, in a really simplified version, the film itself. But the game had a lot of success, and we noticed that this game was talked about, was addressed in several publications, video games publications, blogs about geek and tech articles. And this is new ways of approaching a film. I mean, those websites, those magazines never talked about a movie before, and then they started talking about this video game, and because they were talking about the video game, and the video game is called Bye Bye Blondie, which is the title of the film, they had to talk about the film as well. So we noticed that this is a new audience. We kept touching with those initiatives. It was really interesting to see people coming on the Facebook page, registering, commenting, and then saying, okay, but when is the film released? I want to see it now. So we create teasing with different tools. So this is the video game again. We also created an application for mobile phones, especially iPhones and Android-based phones, mimicking the Walkman. You know, the Sony Walkman disappeared last year. Sony produced its last tape Walkman last year. And we used that as an excuse to produce a Walkman on your iPhone. You download the application, it's free. And then you have a tape, you can choose the color of your tape, and you create mixtapes. Mixtape was for the, no, not so many young people here, so you know what a mixtape is. And you go into your iTunes library, you choose songs, you put it on your tape, and then you have your tape really running on the screen. You can do like that, and the tape is messy, then you have to collect the tape again. It was a gadget, it's true, but it was also working. It was graphically classy, and it worked. We had 11,000 people downloading this tape, this mixtape application online, and this application is still downloaded today 200 times a week. And the movie was released last March. So, and the movie still exists. I mean, the DVD is being released. So, yes, it's really important that you create tools that stay there. I mean, internet, as far as we know now, is permanent. What you create something, it stays there for now. So use it. It's free. And then people continue downloading these applications. The same, we had articles on all those iOS, Android-based communities, blogs, and press. So and then they started talking about this, and then you had in this application a link to the video game as well, and to the trailer of the film. So it's like, this Troy horse. We put the film inside this application. We distribute this application for free, and once the people are hooked to this application, if this application attracts attention, then they notice the film. I mean, the film is there, and it's compatible with what the film is about. Okay. So I'm finished. We also had, you can publish your mixtape on Facebook, so people notice what kind of songs you like, and then they collect the mixtape, they share the mixtape, they create their own mixtape, they dedicate mixtapes to friends, to lovers, things like that. It was, it worked pretty well, and it helped the film in its distribution. We also created a bunch of live events in music festivals for this film Mobilhome. We had the Mobilhome on festivals, took pictures, and then shared the pictures on the internet. So this is basically what we do. We didn't expect people coming with so many tools and so many inventive ideas. We thought people were coming with websites, maybe 2.0 websites, interactive websites, I don't know, animated websites, but we didn't know that they will have this creativity and come with augmented reality stuff, with really transmedia actions going from platform to platform and stuff. So yes, it's a really, really good experience, and we applied again this year with a new call of application that just ended, and 5 projects will be financed in digital promotion for next year. Thank you.
Com us deia abans, després tindrem l'empresa Kotok, que ens explicarà d'una forma increïble el que estan fent. Jo només us vull mencionar que Kotok, per exemple, amb gent tan pionera com és Televisió Espanyola, estan fins i tot llançant abans els interactius que les pròpies sèries. Vull dir que estem arribant en aquest punt. Bé, ara ha arribat el moment de que sigueu vosaltres els que interactueu amb nosaltres i que, sisplau, ens feu totes les preguntes que considereu oportú. Alguna pregunta? No sigueu tímids o tímides, no? O ho hem fet molt bé, we did it really well, they have no questions at all, or... it's you open them.
Yes, I strongly encourage you to go to Power to the Pixel. It's in 10 days. Helena told you a little bit about it. It's a major event in the cross-media universe. You will see that the Spiral, one of the projects that will be, there will be a case study about it later. It was born there at Power to the Pixel. We were there, Wallimage was there, we noticed the project there, and then we went for financing in this project. It's a really important event. It's in London. There are still tickets available because I just bought my tickets this week, and it's in 10 days, and it's 2 days. It's 4 days, I think, but the first 2 days are really, really important even for networking. So if you're into cross-media, please let's meet there in 10 days. So you don't have any questions. Maybe you are developing a project and are facing difficulties or have questions about the financing or even the development. Yes?
Bueno, una pregunta de concepte. Ell ha matitzat diferències entre transmèdia i crossmèdia. Pot explicar-nos quines diferències hi ha entre els dos conceptes?
És per tu, Domenico?
Okay. So what I can tell is that today there are no differences between cross-media and transmedia. I mean, that's the same word. It's just that some people smarter said, okay, this is the correct word, and other people say, no, I want to call that transmedia, and all other people call that transmedia and cross-media. It's the same. But those two words exist. So, for example, at Wallimage, they decided to only use cross-media as a word, but had two lines, digital extension and digital promotion. And it's true that cross-media may be associated with marketing, and transmedia is more of a way of developing a franchise on several media. It goes transmedia, and cross-media is more the idea of a cross. So at the center of this cross, there's an object. In that case, a film. The film is at the center, and then you cross different ways to go to that film itself. But I'm not quite a defensor of those theories. I prefer to say that cross-media and transmedia is the same, and it will be better for everyone if everybody has only one direction and follows that direction to evolve.
En aquest sentit, és que és el que ell diu. Vull dir, hi ha moltíssimes teories i filosofies, i la setmana passada a Barcelona vam tenir una experta que tenia una altra opinió, que deia, per exemple, transmèdia, crossmèdia seria els mateixos continguts a diferents mitjans, per exemple, doncs tens els mateixos continguts Facebook, a Twitter, a una pàgina web, a la pel·lícula, etc. I cross-media seria, per exemple, és una altra filosofia, diferent de la que ha explicat el Domenico, per contestar, ampliar una mica la resposta a la teva pregunta. I transmèdia seria diferents continguts sobre la mateixa franquícia generats específicament per cada mídia. Vull dir, no serien els mateixos continguts a diferents com el cross, sinó el trans seria genero continguts, píldores produïdes, filmades per Facebook o per YouTube, diferents de la pel·lícula. Vull dir, hi ha diferents filosofies en això, però al final del dia tot té molt a veure amb la teva capacitat de finançament, on és el teu públic, què necessita i què és el millor pel teu projecte. Més preguntes?
La meva pregunta es para...
Espera un segundo, que te dan el micrófono.
Gracias, soy Salvador Fábrega de Televisión Española. Es una respuesta un poco relacionada con lo que has preguntado. A veces un determinado contenido acaba siendo transmedia, porque encuentra salida en otros medios, no solo en televisión, en la web, en tal. No digo que sea intencional o no digo que el cross-media sea una voluntad más buscada de desarrollo de la marca, que prepares un contenido para que funcione. Es decir, hay contenidos que evidentemente tú los puedes emitir por televisión, los puedes emitir en la web y funcionarán y funcionan en otros canales. Cuando tienes un contenido digital crossmedia, cuando tú lo desarrollas con la voluntad de que sea crossmedia, no estás inventando un contenido que va a funcionar en todos los sitios, no. Cada ventana tiene su liturgia, cada ventana tiene su adaptación, tiene su tamaño, tiene su usabilidad. Es decir, no existen ahora unos contenidos que sean cross-media porque estamos en el mundo digital y salgan el iPod en el teléfono. No. La pantalla del iPhone tiene un tamaño, el iPad tiene otro. Es decir, ese mismo contenido tú le puedes buscar un desarrollo. De alguna manera es lo que decía Helena, es decir, transmedia, crossmedia, a veces nos debatimos entre las nuevas palabras y no lo acabamos de diferenciar. Yo siempre he tenido la sensación de que una cosa transmedia era como más fluida, que salía en otras plataformas porque podía salir el contenido, y crossmedia era un contenido más trabajado, más diseñado para cada una de las pantallas, y cada pantalla tiene su necesidad. Y antes, cuando hablaba Helena de financiación, proyectos y tal, es decir, cada ventana necesita una adecuación del contenido. Tú puedes tener una gran marca, pero esa marca, si no la adecuas a cada una de las pantallas, no será un contenido transmedia, aunque potencialmente lo sea. Es decir, necesita que tú la adaptes.
Sí, de forma general una cosa que estem veient és que què és el projecte, què voleu fer amb el projecte, cada cop ho heu de tenir més clar des del principi del desenvolupament. Perquè si voleu generar continguts, perquè considereu que teniu aquest contingut tan potent per diferents plataformes, necessitareu començar a treballar diferents vies de finançament, diferents calendaris de producció, una estratègia d'estrenes diferents.
Que nunca será un único desarrollo. Para cada ventana, para cada plataforma tendrás que adaptar tu contenido para que se pueda utilizar.
En aquest sentit, de veritat, us animo molt i molt a que us quedeu a sentir l'estudi case de la gent de Cotoc i també de la gent de Caviar Media d'Espiral, perquè és increïble des del principi tota l'estratègia que han fet servir fins al final. Una pregunta ja i després aquí.
Hola, soc Dani d'una productora, se diu Barret, de producció de documentals transmèdia, i la pregunta anava relacionada amb alguns limitants de la convocatòria per a Helena. Un és si també és un requisit que la producció associada a audiovisual, és a dir, en aquest cas el documental, tampoc ha entrat en producció. Si val per l'obra interactiva també per a l'obra derivada. I l'altre té a veure en les possibles vies comercials. En el nostre cas trobem molt difícil com finançar l'obra interactiva, com construir un model comercial. Molt, molt difícil. En el que, per exemple, ara se trobem en un cas que tindrem que intentar qualificar un documental que ha distribuït Televisió Espanyola, ha distribuït un web documental interactiu, però aquest no hem pogut fer-li no hem pogut treure explotació comercial, i a veure quines alternatives n'hi ha a que pagui l'usuari. Perquè és difícil en un contingut documental i d'un tema minoritari que algú vulgui pagar. Si un contracte de branded content pot valdre, si un contracte de distribució del projecte global per un mitjà que compre la pel·lícula lineal però també l'obra interactiva també seria vàlid, no sé, quines alternatives tenim o quins exemples conegueu?
Espera, abans que tornis al micro, és que no he entès gaire bé la primera part de la pregunta. Quan dius la producció associada, què vols dir? Que vosaltres heu fet una producció, vosaltres no heu començat, però l'associada sí?
No, a veure, el requisit diu que l'obra ha d'entrar en producció una vegada s'ha signat el contracte, l'obra interactiva.
No, heu d'estar en desenvolupament quan signeu el contracte.
Quan signem el contracte.
Entreu en producció després.
De l'obra interactiva.
De l'obra interactiva.
Jo dic, l'obra que té que estar vinculada
aquesta
pot haver entrat en producció prèviament.
Correcte.
No és problema.
Molt bé. I a la segona part de la teva pregunta, perquè us feu una idea, el criteri d'avaluació que s'us aplicarà als dossiers d'obres interactives va sobre 100 punts, d'acord? 40 punts en total van relacionats amb la viabilitat de l'empresa. amb la capacitat que els experts veuen i el potencial que els experts veuen de la vostra empresa, de l'empresa que es presenta per defensar aquest projecte interactiu que ha de tenir la majoria dels drets. I els altres 60 punts van directament relacionats amb el projecte. Això què vol dir? Que ells han de veure que vosaltres teniu capacitat d'aixecar el finançament per tot el projecte, evidentment per l'altra 50 part de les despeses de desenvolupament, però per tot el projecte i sobretot que l'empresa té aquesta capacitat de distribució. Puntuem molt i molt la distribució europea, evidentment, com a programa MEDIA que som. Però en qualsevol cas, perquè us faci una idea, la potencial d'explotació i disponibilitat de l'audiència a la que va adreçada són 20 punts dins dels 60 punts relacionats amb l'avaluació del projecte. Vull dir que la comercialitat de la que tu parlaves, la capacitat de distribució és molt important. Llavors, què ens estem trobant normalment? Que les fonts de distribució, els negocis que feu amb els distribuïdors al final del dia passen a ser fonts de finançament. I una d'aquestes podria ser perfectament el crowdfunding o el crowdsourcing, que són coses diferents que tu mencionaves. Això és una estratègia vàlida tant com a font de finançament com a pla de recuperació i estratègia comercial? La resposta per nosaltres és sí. Respecte a contractes que pots entregar, tots són vàlids. O estratègies que pots a nivell comercial d'explotació, és que les has d'explicar. No sé si t'he contestat la pregunta. No? Doncs tornem-hi, perquè hi ha alguna part que no sé si et referies a això, que la gent pogués pagar per veure el documental. Això és de crowdfunding, de crowdsourcing?
No, vull dir, el que dic és que això és el que costarà molt, que la gent pagui no per veure el documental, sinó per veure, per exemple, per descarregar-se una aplicació de mòbil que estigui vinculada.
Que és difícil, sí. Que
va ser molt difícil. Si n'hi ha altres fórmules que no recaiguen en l'espectador final, vull dir, si això també ho admetríeu. Per exemple, si el contracte en una televisió que compra el projecte global, no solament la pel·lícula, per exemple, és un model vàlid?
Sí.
Sí? Venc pel·lícula més web interactiva, tot en uno, és un model.
Correcte. Ara bé, si tu estàs presentant-te pel teu projecte d'interactiu, entregues aquest contracte, nosaltres el que mirarem és el negoci que has tancat amb aquesta televisió per la part interactiva. Ha d'haver una tornada econòmica de l'explotació d'aquest interactiu amb la televisió. M'entens el que et vull dir? Separat, perquè si no que es pot entendre que estàs regalant a la tele l'interactiu perquè pugui fer un màrqueting per portar el projecte. No per MEDIA, que es fa, però per MEDIA al final tu el que has d'entregar és com qualsevol altre pla de finançament, recuperació, etc., però per un interactiu. Llavors, si tu has tancat aquesta distribució amb una televisió d'aquesta obra interactiva, has de tenir una tornada d'aquest interactiu. Perquè si la tornada és zero, m'entens el que et vull dir? Sí?
Sí, ara sí.
De totes maneres, de veritat, jo estic amb tots vosaltres, us explico el que calgui, però a mi em teniu a Barcelona a la vostra disposició, amb ells dos, és un luxe tenir-los aquí i no. Vull dir que si les preguntes poden anar també per ells, ho agrairé, però jo crec que hem de parlar una mica més en detall, posar-me més exemples en detall del que vols dir i llavors et contesto en detall. Gràcies. Aquí davant, sisplau.
Bueno, hola. Yo creo que este tema que estáis hablando ahora es mucho más interesante a nivel de financiación. Yo era para contestar a Salva y al último ponente porque no t'agria at all cross-media and transmedia concepts. Creo que no estoy de acuerdo con esos conceptos de cross-media y transmedia porque hay un problema. Estamos en la prehistoria. Todo el mundo nos gusta hablar del emperador y hablamos de los ropajes. Entonces nos llenamos la boca de palabras y vamos hablando palabras. Es media, ¿vale? Todo es media, ¿vale? El crossmedia y el transmedia vienen del concepto más literato, ¿no? A nivel académico de lo que era la intertextualidad y la transtextualidad, ¿no? Que hacían los semióticos históricos franceses, ¿no? La intertextualidad se supone que es encontrar un texto dentro de otro texto, que es el concepto de crossmedia. Cuando vemos Los Simpson y vemos que a Homer Simpson parece que reproduce la película Psicosis, la gente que ha visto Psicosis reconoce la película Psicosis dentro de Los Simpson y la disfruta más que la persona que no haya visto Psicosis, pero se puede reír porque ya es cómico de por sí, ¿correcto? Entonces el crossmedia enriquece los conceptos a partir de una película. Pues yo puedo hacer un videojuego, pero si ves ese videojuego no te enteras de qué va la película. Es un videojuego que apoya a los personajes y que existe ahí. Yo me puedo conectar, tener una aplicación que guarde música en un cassette, pero realmente esa música no me permite entender el producto de Blondie, ¿vale? Porque no he visto la película. Transmedia es un discurso, igual que la transtextualidad. Es un discurso que requiere de todas las plataformas para poder entenderse la narración. Se supone que es un paso posterior al crossmedia. El crossmedia aprovecha muchas plataformas con una finalidad de beneficio, de marketing o de lo que sea, y el transmedia es necesario para la narración y la comprensión de todo, a través de distintas plataformas, una historia que se enriquece sucesivamente, no que se complementa con historietas que más o menos tengan que ver formalmente. Perdón. Thank you.
Gràcies. La darrera pregunta, perquè ja anem tard per coffee break, la darrera hem d'acabar allà. Allà?
Vale, gràcies. Good morning. Domenico, I wanted to ask you, because you said that for Wallimage there were some requirements, and I understood that one of them was that 100% of the shooting has to be in the region. Is that right?
No. The thing is that it depends. First thing is that your movie has to be already in Wallimage co-production, so you have to submit your file to Wallimage co-production, and in the spendings of your projects, yes, we finance 100% of the what is spent in Wallonia, but the budget of the film can be more. Yes, there's.
Are you co-producing documentary films
also?
Yes,
it's documentaries, animation series, animation films, series, it's audiovisual. So films as well, fiction.
Is there any line that you follow with co-productions? Special line, a genre, or
You mean like an editorial, editorial line? Do we have some kind of philosophy?
Yes.
No, not really. It's an economical fund. So if the spendings are made in Wallonia, if it helps developing industry in Wallonia, because this is the main idea behind it. Because if you spend money in Wallonia, the money return to the region, and then new work is created. On the Suicide Shop, there's something really interesting. It's an animation film. They created. It's a French company called Crossmèdia, which is quite famous in terms of digital graphics. They created a new company in Liège, in Wallonia, just for that film. There was nobody in that company. They trained 35 people that didn't have any jobs. They were students out of the school. They trained them to this specific tool they have developed. And now the first job of those people was to work on that film. And they invested more than 2 million euros in Wallonia. And now those people, they only have one job on their CV, but this job is working on this animation film that was presented in Cannes and so on. So it's quite helpful for them, for the industry, for everything.
Thank you.
Molt bé, doncs, som afortunats perquè ens han dit que el càtering serveix al jardí. És un dia fantàstic, solejat. Sortim a fer contactes. Les preguntes que vulgueu som a la vostra disposició també. Fem un cafè i tornem aquí per escoltar la increïble gent de Cotoc a les 12:10. Fins després, gràcies.